Welcome everybody to our Sleep and Colic webinar. I'm going to start off and make a pretty bold statement. I hope that we're here to provide and you're looking for the potential end to uncomfortable babies and sleepless nights both for your child and for you. Before we get started, I want you guys to be in on something. If you stay to the end, we got a special surprise for you. If you stay all the way to the end, we got a way that you guys can help out our Strive Foundation, which is a really cool nonprofit that we set up to help those children and families in needs that are struggling with chronic health conditions that we can hopefully help them through with some natural health solutions for them. So stick around to the end and you can find out how you guys can help our Strive Foundation. Really cool. Would be honored and blessed if you guys could help that out. So stick around to the end and find out all about that. A couple of things before we get started. If you guys could stop all distractions. I hope we're going to bring you some really great information, some stuff you haven't heard before, or at least maybe are now hearing in a different light. Well, if that's the case, it's way easier to absorb it all without distractions, shutting down Facebook, finding a time to watch us, and maybe the kids aren't pulling at you. I know I've been there. I have 4 kids of my own. If you can find that time, it may help you absorb that. So really, you can take the stuff that we're talking about and teaching and apply it in your own life. And secondly, a little CYA moment. We are not here to diagnose your child through a webinar, and as always, results are not guaranteed. But a little bit about myself. I am Dr. Jake Grinacher, and I am the founder and a chiropractor here at Strive Chiropractic. Now 2 locations here in Fargo and our Detroit Lakes office as well. We started roughly 10 years ago, and have over those 10 years built up one of the largest family practices. We see a lot of maternal health, a lot of pediatric health, but a lot of families dealing with a lot of things that you're probably here to hear about right now, from uncomfortable colicky babies to ear infections to those with a label. It's something that we love taking care of and see a lot of phenomenal results with. And I hope that I can bring some of that clinical expertise as well as some of the tools, tips, and strategies that we use that you can all take home and use in your own life as well. So as we get going and get started with this, what I want you all to do is to imagine something. If you need to close your eyes, go ahead and close your eyes. But I want you to imagine your life and maybe your baby's life without colic. Being able to sleep through the night. Just picture what that's like. Not having a screaming baby every night from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. What would that be like to put a child to bed and maybe get up once to feed them and wake up rested, both you and them, at 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning? How amazing would that be, right? But I want you to imagine that. And if you need to close your eyes and really picture it, please do, because that's going to set the stage for what we're going to talk about tonight. Is that I hope what we can give you solutions for, and I hope that's what you're looking for, because I hope that's what the answers are at the end of this. But what we're going to talk about tonight is the 3 secrets that are affecting sleep and colic in children today. Secret number 1 is colic and sleep are not a normal thing. Or lack of sleep. Sorry, sleep is a normal thing. Colic and lack of sleep is not a normal thing. I know when parents get together and they talk like, my kid doesn't sleep, my kid screams every night, my kid screams every night. If it's common in their circle of friends, they think it's normal. Well, common and normal are not the same thing, and it is not a normal thing for your kid to be colicky and to not be sleeping. We'll get into that a little bit. Secret number 2, the reason your child is uncomfortable, has colic, or isn't sleeping may be different than you think. So we'll get into that as well. And number 3, the potential solution to colic and not sleeping for kids is painless, it's fast, and affordable. So as we dive into secret number 1, colic and sleep aren't a normal thing, I want to take you through a scenario that we see a lot, right? And maybe you're dealing with this as well, right? You take a baby home from the hospital, right? And everything is perfect. They're sleeping, they're eating. You think this parenting thing is a breeze. It's fantastic. And all of a sudden, day 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so a devil possesses your baby, right? And I don't mean to make light of that, but I hear so many times, time and time again from parents, I don't know what happened at day 8. We went from this sleeping, eating baby to now all of a sudden it's so mad all of the time, right? Now, again, common, we see it a lot, but not normal. What's happening there is that first week and a half of life, they're traumatized from their birth process as well. So all they're doing is sleeping and eating, right? Well, at that point in their life, they're starting to be awake more. And now all the warning signs and things that are happening are starting to come out. So it's not like it didn't exist 9 days ago. It's the fact that it's now coming to light and you're noticing it now. So very good distinction there is that something didn't happen at day 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever it may be. The problem happened from birth, but is now showing up at that time because they're finally starting to be awake a little bit more, which leads us into number 2. The number 2 secret is that reason that that's happening may be different than you think. So what I want you guys to think about is why this is happening for a child. I'm going to dive into it a bit. I'm going to try not to be nerdy. I'm going to use some slides so I can get through this a little bit easier. But the real reason that this exists is stress. So really when we're talking about stress, what we're talking about is birth trauma. Now I'm going to kind of touch on chemical and emotional stresses as well. Chemical stresses can be processed foods, preservatives, pesticides, sugars, different medications, cleaning products, all those kind of things. And emotional stresses are really the family, work, esteem, scheduling issues, probably a lot of things you and I are dealing with on a daily basis. But when it comes to this colic, not sleeping, things that we're dealing with newborns and infants, really what we're talking about is the physical stress that comes with childbirth. Now, when we look at the most current research will show that with childbirth, even the most, quote, normal vaginal delivery, it's over 60 pounds of axial traction or pulling to get a baby out. Now, if you had a C-section, you may be thinking, oh, a C-section's got to be better. No, that's showing that really that the pressure a lot in a C-section, that pulling is upwards of 90 pounds. So if you can picture me grabbing your infant or your child and putting 60 to 90 pounds around their waist and picking them up by the head, that is a normal childbirth, and that's the amount of physical stress that's placed on their neck. Now, again, thank goodness that happens. We have phenomenal physicians and OBs that are bringing these babies into the world, but just understand that, while they're bringing them to the world and why that's great that they're here, this is a lot of physical stress that's placed in the upper part of that neck, right? So when you get that severe pressure or pulling or trauma, really physical trauma to that upper part of the neck, during that childbirth, really that's what's happening is it's causing a fuse to blow. Now let me get into that a little bit more. But what happens is the body becomes overwhelmed by this physical stress. With adults and with those that get a little bit older, it's really an accumulation of a lot of different stresses. But with babies, it's that big one-time stress trauma that they're having in the cervical spine, and the body becomes overwhelmed and fails to adapt to this stress, and it causes a misalignment of the spine. Now that misalignment is called a dyskinesia. There's no test at the end of this. Don't worry, you don't have to use that in a sentence ever again. But what I want you to think about this is that this misalignment is really like a fuse that blows in the top part of the neck. Think about a fuse in your house. You plug too many things in and the fuse blows. Same type of thing that happens in the upper cervical spine when you have that fuse that's blown. This fuse that blows causes a massive imbalance in the nervous system, and it's something that we refer to in the office as a subluxation. But it's just thinking about it going forward, just think of it as a fuse that blows in the top part of this neck. Now this imbalance causes the central nervous system to go into fight or flight. It causes a sympathetic overload of the system. Now sympathetic overload is really sends the body into that fight or flight. Being familiar with it, if you're being chased by a tiger, thank goodness you have this fight or flight response, right? Because it allows you to run or fight if you're in trouble. But the problem with this is what happens is a term called dysautonomia, and it goes into an imbalance, right? Because when you think about the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems, they're both extremely important in your body. They work like a teeter-totter, right? When one is off, the other one is on, and vice versa. And you should be able to go back and forth into these to allow yourself to be in that sympathetic response if there's something happening in your life, and also be able to go into the parasympathetic portion to allow yourself to heal and digest and to really just go into that healing mode in your body. But what happens with the imbalance is that the overloaded system and dysfunction eventually causes symptoms to occur. You get stuck in this sympathetic overload, and it's bombarding the system. And we look at that upper cervical spine. When you have that bombardment of that bad stimulus in the upper part of the neck from this overload, it can lead to a lot of things. Now it can lead to ears, eyes, nose, throat stuff, as we see in older kids. But if I know this picture is a bit small, but if you can see it on there, what happens with that is it just causes the child to be very uncomfortable, right? It's just an uncomfortable thing. It affects sleep. It affects affects mood. It causes them to be uncomfortable. If you think about your child that's experiencing, colic or uncomfortability or the sleeping issue, a lot of times they'll go very rigid, right? They're just rigid because they're uncomfortable. It's the only way they have to show you that they're uncomfortable is this body goes into this rigidity aspect. That's one thing that we look for is a very rigid baby versus a baby that's very floppy, right? That's very comfortable and relaxed versus a baby that's very rigid. Legs are solid. When they get angry, they just will not go and relax and calm down. Usually don't like to be on their back. Tummy time's uncomfortable. They're usually only okay when they're being held. And again, these are just signs, this rigidity, that they're just uncomfortable, and a lot of times it's coming from that stimulus overload in the upper part of the cervical spine. I want to apologize for getting a little nerdy on you there, but I hope to shed some light on something new for you, or at least if it's not new, it maybe shed it on a new light, or you looked at it through different lens than maybe you ever had before. But that brings us to our third secret, and the third secret is a potential answer for your child is painless, it's fast, and it's affordable. Now, if you went through all of that stuff and you kind of thought like, geez, what's going on in there? Is that happening with my child? Is that the reason that they're experiencing this? The answer is maybe, but I don't know. The only true way we can find that out is to bring this in the office and evaluate them. I wouldn't let anybody guess with my children. I am a father of 4 fantastic kids, and I wouldn't let anybody guess with them, and I promise that I wouldn't guess with your children either. The only way to find out if this is going on is to really take them through our evaluation process. Is really send them through the gamut, look at all the scans. We have some pretty amazing technology in there, which we'll get to in a second, but to really look at that and see, is this something chiropractically that help your child, or isn't it? And what I promise to do for you is give you those honest answers, is that the only way we know if this is happening is to really take them through that process, and it's worth a shot. If you're missing sleep and work and exhausted all the time and your child's uncomfortable, it's worth a shot for at least us to take a look and see if we can help. And if we can't, at least it's a little bit of your time and not very much, again, which we'll get to in a second, to find out those answers and to really look for you. But the question that you may have is, I wonder if this is my child, right? Is this what's going on? And this is the point that usually people are like, oh my gosh, he's trying to sell me something. But the truth of the matter is, I'm not going to hide it, is yes. We're offering you an opportunity to get your child checked. Please take that opportunity. Bring them in here. Find out if that's going on. We'll lay out what we can do, what's going on, a game plan, all of that. We'll lay it all out for you. And if we can help your child, great. And if not, we'll at least be able to point you to a professional that may be able to help your child going forward. So don't look at it as something we're trying to sell you, but an opportunity to come in and get your child checked. So really what we're looking at is this. If you are wondering, if you're sitting there thinking, yes, this is my child, yes, this is potentially what's going on, yes, we've tried everything and we're ready for something different, and you're wondering, this is what I want to offer you. Our first visit at Strive Chiropractic is just $79. It includes a complete, comprehensive consultation and a systems review with one of our doctors, an extensive chiropractic examination, detailed scans on our Insight scanner and your own core score. We'll get into that in more detail when you're in the office. And we have an on-site digital x-ray suite if we need it. Very rarely is that needed for children, but we do have it on-site if we needed it. We also have family plans too. So if you were listening to this and you're like, you know what? Yes, this is my child, but this is me, and this is affecting my symptoms and what I have going on with me, we schedule for yourself till we have some family plans available. Something to remember here, everyone, is that information alone will not change your child. I know I've been there before, and you may have been there before too, where you hear some really great stuff, and maybe you're like, oh, this is very interesting, I learned a lot. But if you stop there, nothing changes. Where change happens is if you take the information and you take action on it. We can't help your child by you sitting there going, yay, this is great. We have to do something about it. So once again, the first visit at Strive Chiropractic is just $79. It includes that comprehensive consultation and systems review with one of our doctors, the chiropractic examination, the detailed scans on our Insight scanner, and the core scoring, which we'll get to more in detail when you're here. X-rays if we need them, which we usually don't for a kid, and family plans are available. So if there's more than one kid that this applies to in your family, maybe you watching, it's for you or your spouse or significant other that this would apply to as well. Make sure you go ahead and get the whole family scheduled. We can see them all at the same time, and we do have family plans available. There's just one thing that we'll never be able to get back, and that's time. If you're sitting there going, man, I wish I would have known this for my last kids. Man, I wish my neighbors would have known this as they were going through this before. I never let parents beat themselves up, right? Because we all as parents do the best we can with the information that we're given, right? But now you have different information. Now you may know something that could be the potential answer for your child. Don't let time pass, because time is the one thing we never get back. It was my absolute honor and pleasure to go through this information with you. If we can help you at all, please reach out and contact us, or we will send you some information on a way you can get into our office and get checked out. It would be our honor and pleasure to see you and your family. So please, if this applies, if this lit a spark in you, if this is something that, yes, I finally found something that can change me, please take action on this soon and do something about it. As one final push, if you needed another one really cool thing that we're doing for people that watch this webinar and take action is that when you're making your appointment, whether it be through the contact information below or to the side, whether you email us, just indicate that you came or found us through this webinar, and we will donate 100% of the proceeds of your first visit to the Strive Foundation. Now remember, the Strive Foundation is our nonprofit that we set up to help children and families dealing with chronic health conditions, to help find more natural solutions for their issues. Again, it's an amazing fund and foundation through the Dakota Medical Foundation that's really doing some great things. So as kind of a last push, for those who take action through this webinar, we will donate 100% of the proceeds of that first visit to the foundation to do some really great work in the Fargo-Moorhead community and beyond. So again, thank you so much for tuning in and taking time on your busy day to watch us. Hopefully that you found some great information, and again, you took that next step to take action, because time is something you will never get back. On behalf of myself and all the doctors here at Strive Chiropractic, we thank you again, and we hope to see you very soon. Take care.